Hello?
Are you doing a thing now?
In a second,
I'm
weird.
just, I'm just saying you got things all recording and
I know.
things.
Hey,
So
hey, you chill the fuck out over there.
I'm chill.
Exactly.
I'm chill.
No. Your tits are way high strung. You have such high strung tits, Steve.
Yeah, whatever.
God, I don't even understand. All right, now I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome to Star Trek Asterisk, the weekly podcast where we watch Star Trek and then we talk about it. I'm Steve. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Steve.
I'm Zach. You can find me in my room, usually with her. Hi, Bean. Hello.
And today we watched, let's see, this is our second week of Star Trek The Next Generation, in which we watched Code of Honor, The Last Outpost, and Where No One Has Gone Before.
Yes.
Um, okay, so in the Code of Honor, this is where we're trying to establish Kirk as
Uh,
sort of a diplomatic
y-
sort of captain.
and by Kirk, you mean Picard.
I mean Picard. Yes, my bad.
It's
Because well,
okay.
I was gonna make the comparison, whereas Kirk is more of a warrior type of captain.
Right. He's a shoot first, ask questions
Yeah,
later kind of guy.
yeah. But Picard is more of a diplomatic type of captain, and this is where we see his diplomatic skills at work.
Yeah. His elite diplomatic
Yeah.
diplomacy skills.
So we go to this planet. We're trying to open trade negotiations for this vaccine that they have that some planet needs.
Yeah, like shit's gone down. Like it's
Yeah,
crazy bad. People are dying left and right.
yeah. So we contact them, and they say, "Oh, we got to use our transporters to beam onto your ship because that's the way we do things."
And Picard's like, fine, whatever you guys have to do, make it
because
so, whatever.
because of his elite diplomatic skills.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, they beam onto the Enterprise's cargo bay where there's a big X-Men symbol,
Yes.
and Picard shows them around, and let's see, they show him the vaccine. Everything's cool, and Tasha beats up one of their security officers.
Yeah, because the security guy's out of my way, woman. She's like, nope, and she throws him down.
Exactly. And they're
And
really impressed by this.
they're not only are they impressed, they're surprised because in their culture, women aren't really allowed to do much.
Right.
So they just kind of go with their thing, and
So after they're done looking around the ship, they are about ready to beam back down, and they say their goodbyes, and then the lead guy hugs Tasha. They transport out, basically kidnapping her.
yep.
Then what happens?
So Picard calls him and says, "Hey, whoa, this shit ain't right." And the others are like, "Well, see, we read up on their customs, and the way this is supposed to work is you have to ask for her back nicely." And he's like, "But they kidnapped her." And they're like, "Look, we don't write the rules, okay? We just tell you how it works." And he's like, "Fine." So he calls and he goes, "Can we please have Tasha back now? Please." And they go, "Sure, come and get her." He's like, "I don't want to come and get her." It's like, "Well, that's the way it works, so you have to come and get her." So he's like, "Oh, fine." So him and Counselor Troy beam down to the planet, and they go through all this thing, and he says, "Okay, can I please have her back now?" And he goes, "No, you have to ask in front of everybody
We have to have a
now."
party first.
Yes. And he's like, "Fine." So they go and they have their party and hoo-ah, big deal, la 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 la. And Riker's there and Data and Geordi are there now. And it's like, okay, great. Big fun, happy time for everybody. And Picard gets up in front of everybody and goes, okay, you're awesome and amazing and you have lots of honor and stuff. Can we please have Tasha Yar back now. And he goes, you know, Picard, you did pretty good, but no, I love her. And so he goes, but he's like, no, you have to give her back. If you don't, this is what we consider to be an act of war. And he's like, no, it's not an act of war. This is love. He's like, you need to give her back now. And he goes, there will be no treaty, no vaccine, and no Lieutenant Yar. As
Yep.
you so wonderfully love that line.
Well, I mean, it's a wonderful line to love.
It's true.
But the main thing is that he's already married, basically.
He has his main one.
Yes.
Because apparently they're Mormon or something.
But so in order to have Tasha, they have to fight to the death.
Yeah.
The wives have to fight to the death.
Right. So
Well-
we have to have like it's a cat fight.
Yeah, right.
So one of them has to die,
Yeah.
which is terrible for them. But hey, great show for everybody else.
So basically, Picard was it? Yeah. Picard has Data and Geordi look at all their weapons, figure out how they're going to use them, and Tasha's like, I mean, she knows she can do it. She wishes she didn't have to,
But she's
yeah,
like, just everybody calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
I got this.
yeah. So I mean, basically, they take a whole long, drawn out thing to plan. That the point is, they come up with a plan, and so they start the fight, and this other chick, the wife, basically they just fight. I mean, it's like there's like these poles all over the place.
Yeah,
And
it's like it's this array of poles.
Yeah.
And then there are these four in the middle that go zoom, like this giant like extended lightsaber thing.
Yeah.
To where if they touch them, it hurts them.
Yeah.
However the hell that works.
So yeah, they jump into this arena and fight each other. Basically, the point is they have these parrot type weapons that they put on their hands.
It's like this claw that's like there's a sheath that goes over their forearm, and then they put their arm through this thing and like grasp onto it.
Yeah.
And it's got all these poison tipped spikes on the end or around the fist area.
Yeah.
And on the front of it, it's got like
should
this
see this
long,
She's looking at you like you should see this weapon.
Yeah, it's got like this long like beak thing on it, so it looks like they're holding like this deadly poisonous spiky parrot thing, and they're like, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" It's true.
Yeah, but so they demonstrate its deadliness by throwing Tasha down, and their weapon accidentally hits
Accidentally.
one of these other guys, and he dies instantly.
Yeah.
So the poison is that bad.
Yeah. So they realize, oh shit.
Yeah.
So they keep fighting
They keep fighting. Eventually, Tasha gets the upper hand,
and falls on her.
and they immediately beam up.
Right. They beam them aboard the Enterprise, and so Tasha's like, "Oh my God, she's dead. There's nothing you can do." And Crusher's there, and she's like, "You shut the hell up. I'm doing this right now." And so she goes and takes her to sickbay. Meanwhile, Picard's like, "Well, you saw that there was a death blow. You saw that Tasha won. So can we take our stuff and leave now?" He's like, "Well, Tasha won. That means she's going to be my main one." And he goes, "Yeah, if she wants to be." And he's like, "Fine, whatever." He's like, "I got the other one's land and stuff anyway, so I still win."
Yeah.
So he goes, "All right, fine, take your vaccines." And so they all beam on board, and he walks in, and Crusher's revived the other woman, and she's sitting there, and he walks in and he goes, "The fuck is this?" He goes, "You said she was dead. You tricked me." And he's like, "We didn't trick you. She was dead. This lady right here, this doctor of ours, she brought her back. That's how awesome we are."
Except for we don't have this vaccine that we need, but we're also
But we
we're
got-
awesome in medical technology anyway.
We got all this other awesome stuff, but you guys have this one thing. So, whatever. So he's like, "You know what? Whatever, fine." And the woman's like, "Since I died, technically our agreement's null and void. So I'm not your main one anymore, and I can pick who I want. And so she picks
Ooh.
the other guy that's been with him the whole time, like the number 2 guy, and he's like, "Fuck yeah!" And the other guy's like, "Well, at least I still have my honor." And Tasha's sitting there, and she goes, "No, no, you don't." And he goes, "Well, you can still come with me if you want." And she's like, "Nah, I don't think so."
Thinking that's basically the end of the episode. But thinking about it, it kind of reminds me of the one where Kirk fought for Spock, who was going through Ponfar.
Yeah,
It kind of almost played out exactly like that,
yeah,
where
it really did.
the chick chose the other dude and all that, except for Tasha really didn't have any relationship to Picard.
Right, exactly.
So,
Yeah,
what did you think of it?
I thought it was actually a pretty good episode. It's a little like by default racist.
Yeah,
Because like there's
and
this
sexist.
planet and sexist and racist. Because there's the planet of the people and they're all black people and they're like all tribal and they look like they just walked out of something in Africa,
Yeah.
and like the women
Apparently, their culture is Chinese
it is like
ish.
a
No,
ish.
yeah,
Right. But like when the women betroth themselves, they give all of their possessions and everything to the man.
right.
And the man is in charge, but he doesn't really have anything because it's the woman's. It's kind of weird,
Yeah,
but still very racist and sexist.
but I mean, you can sort of you can. I'm not saying there's anything right about it, but you can kind of forgive it because it's an alien culture,
Right.
and
It's
and
their
we're trying
way. I mean,
we're trying to tell them that sexism was wrong, but there are a few lines that even the Starfleet personnel say that can be contrived as sexist, and even they even like let a few things go as if they're normal.
and then there's Riker who's making
Yeah.
undertones the whole time.
But yeah, you can tell that even though this is they're trying to portray an advanced progressive society, the writers still have a little bit to learn about what that means.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Because it's the mid '80s, so they
Yeah.
don't really know.
Right.
They don't understand.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that was that. And then the next episode was The Last Outpost.
The Last Outpost. So the Enterprise is in pursuit of a Ferengi ship. They had never encountered Ferengi before,
Correct.
but they're after these guys because they stole an energy conversion device, I think, from the Federation. And Picard's like, no, this just that's not gonna fly. So he goes and chases after him. They get up near this planet, and the Ferengi stop and they try to fire at them, but it doesn't do anything. Like the shields hold up fine, and
Right.
there's like this electromagnetic force, and suddenly they're locked in place, and they think, "Oh my God, these Ferengi, they must have these weapons that are locking us in place and now draining the energy from our ship." And so Picard's like, "Okay, well maybe let's talk to the Ferengi and see what's up." Well, the Ferengi won't talk, and it's like, "Well, maybe you haven't told them what they want to hear." So he goes, "Fine." He goes, "We're prepared to do whatever's necessary and cooperate in any reasonable way to help you guys get what you want done." And the Ferengi's like, "Well, unconditional surrender is not enough. Blah 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 blah." And they go, "Okay, so obviously they're stuck too, or else they would have just taken it and gone,
Yeah.
or shot us and taken what they wanted. Either way, they're screwed too."
Right. They're in the same predicament.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, "Okay, well, give us a visual." And they're like, "That's against our culture." It's like, yeah, if you want anything from us, then you're gonna have to let us see you so we can talk. And they're like, "Well, you give us no choice." And then here come these big giant eared motherfuckers with like these ridgy things going around them, and oh God, we get introduced to the Ferengi for the first time, and ugh, they're just terrible.
Not a fan of the Ferengi.
It's who likes Ferengi though? I mean, really, even if you like individual ones because of their characters, who likes the Ferengi in general?
Good point.
Nobody. They're
Good point.
swindlers.
They're swindlers. They're pirates. They're basically irreputable
They're jerky jerk
jerks.
faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Picard says, "Okay, well, here I'll make you guys a deal. Um, we'll give you all the information we have on this planet and why it's draining our energy if you give us back the energy conversion device." And they're like, "No, you're not going to give us all of your information. You're going to hold stuff back." It's like, "Look, we'll send people down to the planet. You send people down to the planet. We'll meet up. We'll make the exchange, and then we'll go on our merry way." And they're like, "Fine, whatever. I'll do what I want." So,
Meanwhile, they're studying the planet.
meanwhile, they're trying to figure out what's going on with this planet because
Right.
it's like, okay, so obviously this planet is what's holding us here, and it's not the Ferengi because that's the only other thing here. So they start doing like sensor sweeps of the planet to figure out what exactly is going on because something's not right. So then what happens?
Well, they discover it's an outpost of this ancient civilization that I don't remember what the outpost was for or anything, but they had this technology and stuff. So um, the whole civilization was destroyed by an exploding star or something, and this was the farthest one away from it, so it survived. But still, there's no one there. So they beam down and they meet the Ferengi, and the Ferengi have these whips that they use that like stun them and
Yeah, it like shoots out like a
yeah.
stun ray thingy.
And this is the first time that we've seen these whips, and it's the last time,
Yeah.
except for in the episode of Enterprise where they meet the Ferengi, and they use whips there. So we can assume that these whips are like a really old weapon for the Ferengis, and they just evolved past it
Right.
after this.
Right.
Anyway, they use the whips, and because of all the like weird, I don't know, gravitational stuff, when they beam down, Riker's over here and Data's over here on top of a crystal,
And
and
Geordi's hanging
Jordan's
upside down from a
down.
tree,
Yeah, yeah. So
which also, really? The black guy hanging from the tree, even if he's upside down? I mean, come on. No, nobody caught that? None of the writers caught that? They could have put Data up there, and it would have at least been funny, because then Geordi could have gotten stuck on the crystals and be like, "I don't understand this. This is weird." He could have analyzed them a little bit, and then Data could be hanging there like, "Whoa."
oh yeah, well, so basically, they fight a little while, and we get to know what the Ferengi want and like what's their
Basically, they're
beef
money
with the
grubbing whores, and they'll
basically
do
they're
whatever
money
they
grabbing
can to
whores.
get as much money as they can possibly get.
Exactly, and then big old lightning and thunder, and this
And
guy
there's
shows
this
up.
giant face, and he's like, "You barbarians, what are you doing here?" Blah blah blah. And they're like, "What? We're. Why are you here?" And then he materializes into a guy, and he's like, "Well, I'm the portal." And apparently, these outposts were set up to be basically like guard stations for this empire that used to live here in this star system. And he goes, "Well, I'm the portal, and I'm the portal for the whatever dynasty." And they're like, "No, dude, that dynasty died out a long time ago. The most recent one was this." He's like, "No, that's a lie." And they're like, "No, seriously, like there was that one, there was this one, and then after it was this and this." And he's like, "All right, enough, whatever." And so the Ferengi start yelling, "Well, they're terrible people, and they ruin business deals, and they won't give us any money, and they're barbarians, and blah 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 blah." And Data's like, "Yeah, and here's other stuff that we do wrong. This, that, and the other." He's like, "We let civilizations overrun other ones, and we don't save everybody, and et cetera, et cetera. What's your point?" And the guy's like, "Barbarians, the whole lot of you." And he goes, "But you," and he points at Riker. He's like, "You are the worst one of all." And he goes, "I'm going to test you now." And then he tests him, and he says, and he gives him like this riddle, He's like, he's like, "You will learn when it, or like whenever you learn it's the time that you shouldn't fight or something like that.
Right.
Then you will succeed or something like
Something
that."
like that. Yeah.
And so he comes out, He's like, have you figured out my riddle yet? And he has like this blade on a stick, and he comes whoosh, right next to Riker's head.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, have you figured out the answer to my riddle? And Riker goes, fear is the only enemy. It's the only true enemy. And the guy looks at him, he goes, I like you. He's like, come on, let's go have a talk. He's like, these other guys, the little guys, they suck. But us, I think we're going to get along just fine. So they're walking and they're talking. And Riker's like, hey, could you do us a favor and release our ships? He's like, oh, yeah, all power to the engines. There you go. Like, everything's restored. And it's like, you're an okay guy. Meanwhile, up on the ship, where like all of the power is drained, life support is like all but gone, and everybody's passed out from lack of oxygen, the whole thing starts to light up. People wake up and they're like, oh, they did it. Everybody's saved. And back down on the planet, the portal, he's like, so do you want me to just destroy the little guys?
Meanwhile, the Ferengi are just
The Ferengi are like
dancing
around like little monkeys. And he's like, you want me to just destroy them? I could take care of that. And he's like, nah, they won't learn anything. Just let them be. We'll deal with them later, which they do extensively.
Yeah.
And they beam back up and they take they get the energy converting device from the Ferengi. And they're like, no, go away. And they're like, okay. And they run away.
Fine.
And that's the end of the episode.
And that's it. Yeah. It's really just an introduction to the Ferengi.
It is. It's an interesting introduction to the Ferengi.
Yeah.
But, it kind of shows some of their barbaric ways, at least the way they used to be, know, as we kind of watch them evolve throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I was saying before, they were originally intended to be the Klingons of the Next Generation.
right.
They're supposed to be the main bad guys, but no one took them seriously. The actors, the writers, the directors, no one actually took them seriously at all. So
Well, and but look at them. You can't. There's no way you can take the Ferengi seriously.
They were actually directed to jump around like rabid,
monkeys.
Well, like rabid. What was it? Gerbils is what Armin Sherman said.
Rabid gerbils?
Yeah,
That's great.
that was an actual direction that they received, and with that kind of direction, you can't take them seriously.
You can't. It's not possible. God, look at them. They're terrible.
So they ended up being the laughingstock of the galaxy.
For 2 entire series.
Exactly.
And into a third one.
Yeah. Let's see.
I got nothing else to say
There's
about
really-
this episode. This is sort of a you can tell this is an early episode of TNG because it has like the same surface of the planet set feel as stuff from the original series.
Yeah.
They haven't progressed that much yet, you know.
True. The sky got a little bit better, but it's still like red or something.
It's still the sky was still like weirdish. Yeah. Like the generic cloudy stuff.
And interesting thing to note is that Armin Sherman,
whatever his name is.
Quark, that guy.
Yeah, the guy that plays Quark is the guy that's the lead one down in the landing party for the Ferengi.
He's not Quark, but he is a Ferengi.
He's a Ferengi. He plays a different one, and he ends up playing Quark later as that asshole at the bar
Just a little interesting
on that space station that doesn't do anything. But we'll get there when we get there.
And next, we go to where no one has gone before. What's the guy's name that they bring aboard?
Oh, God, you would ask me that. There's a guy who apparently has figured out how to make warp engines way more efficient than they have been before, like insanely so. And he just knows everything. Kaczynski's his name.
Kaczynski's,
Yeah, Kaczynski is this big fat know-it-all show-off. In fact, he shows up. And Riker and Lieutenant Troy are there, and the guy from engineering, and they're all standing there. And he's like, "Where's the captain? I want to see the captain." He's like, "He's busy. You're gonna have to see us." He's like, "Whatever." So he's got this like high and mighty attitude the whole time because
if he had long hair, he would flip it.
Yeah, he would totally flip his hair, and so he's being a bitch, and he's like, "Well, just take me in engineering." And so Wesley's down there. And really, I got to say, Kaczynski poses an excellent question because what's this child doing here? It's like, well, he's, learning. It's an assignment for class. He's like, children shouldn't be in here. Get him out of here. Whatever. Don't touch anything. And so they decide they're going to go through with this experiment and see if they can increase the efficiency of the warp engines. Because they took his information, his like this equation that he had, but it was all garbage.
Yeah.
They fed it in the computer, it didn't do anything.
Right.
So they're like, well, maybe like when he did it on the other ships, it was just because they were older engines and there were other tweaks they did. I don't know. Let's just see what he can do. So it's fine. Okay. So him and his assistant, who has a name that can't be pronounced by humans, apparently.
Which is a thing among aliens.
Yeah, I guess that is.
Like the Doctor.
Right. So they sit down at their stations, and Wesley's kind of looking over the one guy's shoulder, the assistant's shoulder. He's like, hey, that's pretty cool. And the guy's like, yeah, you like that? He's like, yeah, I do. Can we do some more? And he's like, yeah, here, let's do this. And he's like, well, I want to do it like this. Which really, that's what they're doing, but they're looking at some of the equations and modifying the warp field,
Right.
And so Kaczynski's like, all right, let's do this thing. Put this bad boy at warp 1.5, and I'll show you what I can do. And so they're like, all right. So Kaczynski starts doing his thing. They fire it up. They hit warp 1.5. And then the assistant's over there, and he starts doing stuff, and he starts like this weird phase shifty thingy. And he goes, and then they just zoom, and they shoot off. I mean, they are going insanely fast. Like, it's not registering. They don't know what the hell is going on. Everything's all a big blur of colors. And then suddenly, they're about 2.7 million light years away from where they were before.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's like, hold on a second. Now, wait. To go at maximum warp that we can do right now to get here would take us 300 years. Mm-hmm. So what the hell did you just do? And so they file a report. They send it to Starfleet. And Data's like, going through subspace, it's going to take 51 years to get back to Starfleet.
Yeah.
And
because he's a little more precise.
Yeah, well, he goes and, he does the data thing, and then, Picard gets annoyed and tells him to shut up. So then what happens?
Well, they start trying to figure out what happened, basically. And the assistant guy, basically, Wesley is the only person who recognizes that the assistant was the one doing all the work. And he tried to tell everyone, but no one listened to him because he's Wesley.
It's true.
And who listens to Wesley?
Why would you listen to Wesley?
So they have to get back. So they try to do that. But in the attempt, Kaczynski screws up. But it wasn't Kaczynski who screwed up. It was the assistant who screwed up because he was distracted by Wesley.
It's true, he was distracted by Wesley. God, it's terrible.
So instead of going home, they go even farther away, and they enter this land where thoughts become reality.
Yeah, and it's like literally like 1 billion light years from home.
Yeah, and
there's a Targ there, and there's a kitty, and one of them is dancing around in a ballerina tutu.
Basically, everyone is just hallucinating whatever they're thinking.
Right, but it's actually happening.
But it's actually
their thoughts are being translated into reality.
And Picard meets his mom again.
Oh, Picard's mom is there, and number one's like, "Hey, we called you to the bridge." He's like, "Shut up!" And he turns around and she's gone. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy, and there's a wall of fire.
But eventually, the assistant knows this kind of thing because he's said to Wesley before that. Thought and matter and space are not as disconnected as you think they are.
Right.
So Wesley's like, "Oh, this makes sense. This is what the assistant was talking about."
Right.
But now that they're in this place, they've gone so far. The assistant has worked so hard that he's wiped out.
Yeah. Oh, he's toast.
He's Crusher is trying the best she can to see what's wrong with him,
and Picard's like, "Well, wake him up. We got to figure out what's happening."
Right.
And she goes, "He could die if we do that." and he's our only shot of getting back. So you shut the hell up for a second. And he goes, well, we got to figure out what's going on. So she's like, okay, fine. So they wake him up, and he's like, well, yeah, so, see, what had happened was, I'm this traveler, and I'm not really from around here, and my thoughts can translate into reality.
That's
And
basically
then,
it. Or
then,
he can translate thoughts into reality.
right,
Like I
right.
get the impression like the thoughts of all the ship, like everyone on the ship, can be focused through him.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
he made the analogy that he's like a lens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he can focus those thoughts into reality.
Yeah. So and Picard's like, well, if no, it was Riker who said, if you guys have been around all this time, why haven't we seen you here before? And he's like, well, this is kind of embarrassing. Basically, you guys are boring.
Yeah, you guys are just now getting to the point where we actually care
Yeah.
about what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
So basically, they just he gets better again, and he starts working. He gets
and they decide, well, we've got to get back home. And he's like, okay, well, we all have to think nicely. We have to think good thoughts and think about going home. And he's like, okay, that's fine. So he's like, well, I need Kaczynski. And Kaczynski's like, you need me? And he's like, yes, I need you too. I don't just need the boy. He's like, okay. So they go and they set back in the course, and lo and behold, boom, they take off. In the middle of it, the traveler disappears, and right after he disappears, they're right back where they were before they even started.
huzzah!
And so
And Wesley lost his only friend in the universe.
it's true. It's true. But you know what he gained in the process? Picard learned that Wesley is, he's got like this child prodigy thing going for him. That's what the traveler told him.
Yeah.
He compared him to Mozart, in fact. And he said, but instead of having like musical instruments, he used the instruments of the ship
Yeah.
to focus that great intelligence. And so, don't spoil it. Take care of the boy. Make sure he does well. And so Mr. Crusher becomes an acting ensign.
Hooray!
Hooray for Ensign Crusher.
Just so he could sit next to Troy.
Ah, I envy him so much.
But this is good. This is like the pilot episode of the Wesley story.
Yeah, yeah. It is the Wesley pilot. Even though he's been there before, this is the first episode that really focuses on him.
Right.
So
He basically throughout the series is recognized as being the smartest one on the ship, if not a little arrogant and.
he is kind of he's kind of a jerk about it sometimes.
Sometimes he can
Like-
be a jerk, and
Like he knows he's smart, and he tries to help sometimes. And when they don't listen to him right away, he's like, "But I'm the smartest," and they're like, "Oh my God, Wesley, shut up! Just shut up! Go away, or we will kill you."
but along the way he meets the Traveler again and again in several episodes, and eventually he goes off with the Traveler, and that's his end. But
But that's like seasons from now.
that's the long way away.
Yeah,
When Will Wheaton looks more like he does now.
yeah. He still hasn't learned how to grow facial hair though.
True.
But I thought this was a good episode.
It was pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the thoughts becoming reality thing.
I actually kind of like that.
You do?
I do. I think it's an interesting take on the philosophy of it.
Yeah.
Whereas our everyday lives, they're not directly, but they are in a way manifestations of our thoughts.
True.
I mean, it's the whole we are the masters of our own destiny thing. And I actually kind of like that.
Yeah. It's not bad. I'm not a big fan of thinking of a target and then seeing it.
No, well, I know, but look at the piggy. And there was a kitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. But and I like the Traveler. I like the guy because his whole thing is like, I just want to get out and see stuff and
Yeah.
explore and learn, you know?
Yeah.
He just wants to soak it all up and say, wow, this is
The
cool.
Traveler is basically everything that Star Trek is.
He is. He is. The Traveler is, you know, if you think about it, the Traveler's kind of like what Gene Roddenberry always kind of aspired to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
That's
guy
true.
that could just go and explore and learn,
Yeah.
you know, and do cool stuff
Make things happen
with his
with his
brains.
brains. Yeah. So that was it.
Yeah. I think this was, well, obviously this was a much better week than last week.
True.
Because I hate Q and I hate saucer separation in the first damn episode of the series.
Yes. But we kind of evened it out with Tom not being here, so it's kind of.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's true. It's not quite the same as it was last week.
Let's see. We didn't get anything in the mail or in voicemail.
In the voicemail, yeah.
But you can call us. So Halium frequencies are open.
At 513 asterisk. That's 513-278-7475. Call us with any of your questions or comments, whether it's about the series, whether it's about us and our show, whether it has to do with anything about life, the universe, and everything. Just call us.
Anytime, day or night, a person will not answer. It will be a voicemail. So
Yeah. We might maybe when we start season 3 of Star Trek Asterisk, I'll have a mechanism in place for receiving and recording calls. We might have a live call-in show one week.
that would be special.
That would be, wouldn't it?
What else was I going to say? Oh, go to our website, thegreenasterisk.com, to subscribe to our RSS feed. And you can also, from there, see there are links to our YouTube channel, our Tumblr,
Our personal contact
personal contact information. You can also download my short story, Dark Matter.
Yes.
There.
Oh,
Tell them about the apps.
also, if you go to the Windows 8 store, if you go to the Windows store in Windows 8, you'll be able to download the Green Asterisk app that you can see here if you're watching this on the YouTube feed. It will show you the latest tweets from Steve and the Green Asterisk, as you can see right here. This is actually, I'm pulling this data live, so you know that this is real. It'll show you recent blog posts as well, so you can go up here and it'll open up a preview on thegreenasterisk.com. And there you go. There's this past week's aftermath for the Naked Encounter. And then you can look at all that right there.
Now scroll back up and go back there.
You want to go back here? Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, it's got to load again.
It'll just take a second. All right.
If you see on the side there, it says "Join the Fleet Asterisk."
Yes.
If you want to be in a fleet with us in Star Trek Online, it's free to play. You can go on there if you're not already on there, and sign up and click on this picture here, and it'll take you to basically a sign up page where you can tell me all of your information, and we'll meet up in game and start our own little fleet.
Yep.
Our own guild.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
We haven't done anything with that yet, but if we want to start,
But we will eventually.
we will eventually.
We'll go on side quests together.
Yes.
It'll be great fun for everybody. But yeah, you can find that there at thegreenasterisk.com. And again, go download the app from the Windows Store. It's just look for the Green Asterisk. It's the only thing that comes up. And then you'll also have in addition to the latest tweets and blog posts here, you'll also have Steve's contact information. You'll have the Green Asterisk Live, where you can actually tune into the live show. And you can even stalk us from here. You can see our house, or the Green Asterisk Studios. And so that's all there.
All right, I think that's all for today.
Yeah, I think that's it. So after you, sir.
Right. Until next time, remember to help control the tribble population.
Have your tribble spayed or neutered.
Live long and prosper.
Goodbye, everybody, and see you in 2 weeks.